The Seattle Mariners need their superstar. Let's talk about it. So yes, as I refer to superstar, we all know that I'm talking about Julio Rodriguez, who is kind of being, again, inconsistent this year. While his average is up, he is still being that inconsistent hitter. So in this video, I kind of just want to go over where he ranks compared to his center field counterparts in the league, as well as where he compares to other Seattle Mariners. And again, like I usually do, I want to preface one thing before we get into this video, and that is the fact that I understand that Julio is a very streaky hitter. He's very inconsistent, and when he's hot, and when he's off, he is completely off. And the stats we're about to go over are based off the first Houston Astros game and before, so nothing after that first Houston Astros game. And somehow with their superstar not really being a superstar, the Mariners are still 18-15, and that is due to outstanding pitching and just doing enough offensively to win some games. Just imagine how good this team would be when their superstar really gets into it. But anyway, let's go over some of the stats. So let's compare Julio Rodriguez hitting ranks to his center field counterparts that have a minimum of 90 plate appearances. I didn't want to do anything below because then the numbers are kind of skewed. So this is basically guys that play every single day for their teams in center field. So in terms of batting average, he is hitting .270, and like I said, this is before the Houston Astros first game, as well as including that first game, nothing after, and which ranks him 5th amongst qualified center fielders. Next is his K percentage, which is pretty high, which is a 30.1%, which ranks him 6th compared to his center field counterparts. In terms of WAR, he's at a .6, which has him 10th compared to other center fielders in the league. In terms of WRC+, he is at an 89, which has him 18th, which is really, really low on this list because I believe the only number of qualified players was about 23 center fielders in terms of the plate appearance rule that I had. So he's 18th in WRC+, which is really, really low. And in terms of home runs, he only has one singular home run, like I said, at the time of this recording, which has him tied for 21st. So in terms of batting average, he's actually doing very well. He's hitting like .270, which will take any day of the week, which he should be hitting, of course, because he is our superstar. But he kind of is spreading it out amongst games. So he'll have games where he doesn't have a hit for about 3 games, and then he'll have a game where he has 3 hits out of the blue, which is kind of the streakiness that we talk about. But those 3 hits would obviously jump his batting average way higher than it was the 3 games previously. So in terms of kind of what's making his numbers be so low, there's 2 main categories that he's really struggling in so far this year compared to years prior, and that is barrel percentage and hard hit percentage, in which in barrel percentage he's down 5.2%, and in hard hit percentage he's down 2.6%. And something that goes hand in hand with that is his exit velocity consistency, which is also down 0.6%. So those things kind of all go hand in hand and is one of the main reasons he is struggling so far in 2024. Julio is really struggling trying to find that middle ground. He either gets way too under pitches or he gets way too on top of pitches. So he's really struggling trying to find that middle ground in which he would generate those home runs off of. Again, this isn't really like last year where Julio really started off slow, where he was hitting the low 200s. So his batting average is up. He's still getting on base and getting hits. It's just in terms of being that superstar, he's missing his power, which is something that he's really, really known for. The guy, I have him hitting the most home runs on the team with some of the best with other Mariners content creators. I have him leading the team in terms of home runs, with possibly Cal being a close second. And right now, Julio really isn't even close. Here's a list of names of Seattle Mariners that have more home runs than Julio Rodriguez does 33 games into the season. Ty France, Luis Urias, Dylan Moore, J.P. Crawford, Mitch Garver, Dom Canzone, Josh Rojas, Mitch Haniger, Jorge Polanco, and Cal Raleigh all have more home runs than Julio Rodriguez does 33 games. Like I said, 33 games into the season. Was there even a century where you expected half these guys to have more home runs than Julio would? So like I said, the main thing for me really isn't the fact that he's not still getting hits. He still has a pretty high average. It's the fact he's not really being that impact player that we really need him to be. You know, when we're struggling in a game to get hits or we're struggling to put a ball out and really take the lead in a game, he's kind of the guy we need to rely on. Like I've said before, this is Julio Rodriguez's team to lead. When they signed him to that contract, they said, Julio, this is your team. We are making you the superstar, and we want to build around you and bring home a championship. And right now, he really just isn't giving us any of that kind of energy. And as I said, Julio is a very streaky hitter, as we know, and I'm sure he will figure it out. I'm sure he will still finish the season with over 25 home runs. But right now, we are doing well, and we really need him to keep pushing us forward, to keep getting further and further away from these teams that are struggling like the Astros. So to get into some of where Julio ranks compared to his Seattle Mariners counterparts, in terms of average, like I said, he's hitting .270, which ranks him second on the team, like I said, which is very good. In terms of K percentage at 30.1%, he is 8th, so not as high as the center field one, because obviously we know the Mariners strike out a ton, so there's bound to be guys in front of him. In terms of WAR, he is a .6, which ranks him 3rd on the team. In terms of WRC+, as we know, it's an 89, which ranks him 8th on the team. 8th on this team that's really struggling offensively and just overall is kind of really bad. And then in terms of home runs, as we know, he only has 1, which ranks him 11th on the squad. So like I said, my problem with Julio isn't the fact that he's really struggling like he did last year to start the year, but he's still just not being the guy that we need. And like I said, I do believe he will turn it around at some point. We just really need him to turn it around sooner rather than later and kind of just be consistent throughout the whole year. So kind of my wish for what he's doing, because you see him using the opposite field a lot, which is not a bad thing by any stretch, which is why his average is so high, because he is using all parts of the field. I really hope that does generate into him getting his feel for the home run ball again and kind of just puts all the pieces together, and maybe he can finish, close to 300 this year in terms of average and only pop out 25 home runs. So sacrifice a little bit of power for that higher average, but still hopefully has near 100 RBIs. Because at the end of the day, whether you agree or disagree with me, Julio is the superstar on the Seattle Mariners, and this is his team to lead to the postseason and to hopefully bring home a ring for the Mariners. And as previously stated in my last video or the video before, I did bring up the fact that this offense just needs to be mediocre to a little bit above average to really make a run in the postseason, especially with how dominant this pitching is. And while obviously what they're doing right now is not going to be maintainable due to they're absolutely just dominating. I think it's like 20 earned runs in the past 21 starts, which is absolutely ridiculous stat. But if this offense can just be mediocre to a little bit above average, that's all this pitching needs. So that's my little rant on Julio and why we really need him to be our superstar and really start to figure it out, because it only will propel us that much further in the lead in the AL West and just really let us keep rolling and keep getting more wins under our belt while certain teams, like I said, like the Astros are struggling, and we can keep gaining ground on them while they are struggling. So let me know what you guys think Julio really needs to improve on to really get that home run swing back and also just keep producing at a higher level. But otherwise, I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.